Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Join Dota presentation. I'm the Capitalist, and we're going to be hosting this thing another day of Dota 2 Champions League, where we've got Cloud9 facing up against Team Liquid for a best-of-3 rematch. After JDL's last night match, these two teams actually faced up against each other just recently, and last night joined Dota League, and it was just a best of one, MLG TKO. Too many tournaments to keep track of right now, but. So I'm really excited to be able to get in this game because we've already had a bit of a preview of what's going to happen. And let's go ahead and get into the draft, guys, where I can go ahead and welcome in my play-by-play man. It's going to be Ayesee himself is going to be joining us on the Join Dota Daily Motion stream.
Thank you so much for having me once again, my friend. I can hear you've got a bit of a frog in your throat, and I'm still clearing mine out some too. But again, greetings to you, and of course, salutations to all of the Dota fans. But as you mentioned, the storyline here, of course, Cloud9 Dota, after picking up a new sponsor, a new label, and so on and so forth. We all know the talent this team has. They've been off to a great start. They've only played in 3 matches under this name and won all 3. Team Liquid across the month of February has been very active. They played in 10 matches and won 7 of them, so they're on a pretty good streak as well. And, you know, this Liquid squad, whenever you have this much experience and this much talent, both, again, veteran talent, young talent like Koikva, you never really know what you're going to get out of them, but in a good way. Not as in they're inconsistent, but as in any one of these players can be a playmaker and a star in any given match. But as you've already mentioned, Cloud9 did get the best of them yesterday, so they're going to be coming in looking to extend their bragging rights, while Liquid, well, they'll be looking for a little bit of revenge.
Yeah, absolutely. And this time it will be a best-of-3, so it's a little bit more even. You can actually see kind of play it out, and it's not just all based on one draft. Team Liquid had something really interesting last night, too. They ended up picking up the Wraith King. Now, that is a hero that they've been experimenting with for a little while now, and they ran a special kind of, basically, it was this early Wraith King that was supposed to be this hard carry that picked up in a really early Radiance, and then from there they tried to get aggressive. But I felt that Cloud9 really tore them apart, just countered them every single step of the way, and it felt like Team Liquid were kind of outclassed in that matchup. So maybe they haven't practiced it enough, or maybe last night they worked out the kinks and they're going to go for it again. I'm really excited to see whether or not they're going to pick it up, because no one else is really picking up Wraith King right now. That hero is pretty much remained untouched by most other teams. Very few have experimented with him. So I'm interested to see whether or not Team Liquid are going to pick that up. But right now we already have a decent draft coming out. Clockwork and Invoker being banned out by Team Liquid. Luna and Enchantress taken out by Cloud9. Pretty much standard strong heroes right now. But the Luna definitely opens up some of the other very popular carries. If you're going to take away the Luna this early, Lifestealer is definitely a pretty high priority pickup in Cloud9. Eternal Envy plays a very strong Lifestealer, and I think it fits their playstyle very well, in that Lifestealer is the perfect kind of hero to make that sort of surprise initiation that catches out teams that Cloud9 really excel at. That's their biggest strength in my mind, is them being able to force fights where teams don't really expect them to hit.
Yeah, I could not agree more. They're just a team that tends to carve the map up. They want to outmaneuver you. They draft lineups that can go fight, and maybe they need a little bit of farm, like a Lifestealer generally needs at least an item or 2 drums, phase drums into an armlet. If you want to skip the armlet, that's fine. Go pure S&Y. Either way, that does fit their style, and actually with the Ancient Apparition already picked up from them, they have a lot of aggressive potential already coming out. An Ancient Apparition and Lifestealer and aggressive tri-lane can be extremely hard to cope with. We see Liquid did pick up the Nature's Prophet, so as the game wears on, we'll be sure to see the Prophet bouncing around the map, trying to not only split push, but be a +1 to early engagements. And then, you know, whenever you talk about what Liquid needs to do, or what any team needs to do against Cloud9 based on their style, is give yourself as much flexibility and as much mobility as you possibly can to react to what they're going to do. Vision becomes of paramount importance, among other things. And we can already see Liquid banning out the Bat Rider and the Storm Spirit here in the second phase. Makes a ton of sense given the Lifestealer and given what you've been talking about. Cloud9's playstyle, the way they like to try to get their wins. Now, Liquid, for the longest time, the way I characterize their lineups in a lot of cases is they feel a little thin on the draft screen. Just whenever you're watching them come out, very often you go, well, they're a little squishy, they have a nice balance of damage, but they really need to do X, Y, and Z to execute this lineup correctly. But that's their forte. They know how to run premeditated lineups. They know how to run heroes in conjunction with each other and tend to be pretty damn creative in their drafting, and they will do the same thing Cloud9 does, just in a little bit, with a little bit more finesse, I would say. They have the ability to just execute lineups as well as any team on the planet right now. But second ban phase is done. No DK and Ursa going to be present for Liquid, and that makes a ton of sense given they've already picked up the Lifestealer. Ursa can just maul a Lifestealer's face if they're able to lock him down, and DK, of course, with his very, very high armor, it can be problematic for Lifestealer as well.
Yeah, smart bans on both sides. Like the Storm Spirit Batrider, not only is that a good Nakes Bomb hero, but it's also excellent heroes of being able to catch out the split pushing Nature's Prophet. Team Liquid picking up that hero really, really early on. For me, I feel much more confident already about Team Liquid's draft than I have in previous cases. I think that Nature's Prophet is a really strong hero to make sure you keep out of Cloud9's hands, but also be able to have in your hands because, again, maneuverability is the biggest thing about going up against Cloud9. And right now, Nature's Prophet really excels at that. So hopefully they'll be able to exploit Cloud9 and their aggression by being able to just continually stay a little bit passive, a little bit split push, and just build up a big advantage going into late game, especially since they already see that hard carry. Granted, Cloud9 don't have too much on the board. They could definitely pick up another semi-carry, which gives them more late game. But right now, I'd say Team Liquid have a big opportunity to go for that hard carry and just try and outlast Cloud9 and go into the late game looking strong. They've already got some good control in the Bane pickup, so that's going to be your kind of counter to Lifestealer, a hero who's able to disable him through that rage and also be able to seriously hinder him with that Enfeeble should they try and go up tri-lane versus tri-lane.
Yeah, and that's a great point. Bane, not only does he work as a hard counter because of his ultimate, but can really make life difficult for a Lifestealer if he is run offensively. Cloud9 going to grab the Doom and almost, Doom's, it's so cliche to be like, oh yeah, Doom counters X. Well, Doom counters everything. That's what he does. It's the point of the hero. But in particular, being able to Doom out the Bane to free up the Lifestealer to do his job. I really like the synergy between Ancient Apparition and Nyx Assassin as well. The high burst potential of a Nyx Assassin, to say nothing of his initiation potential if he is able to get up a fairly early mobility item, be it a Blink Dagger, be it a Force Staff, or what have you. But whenever you have Ancient Apparition's ultimate, plus the high burst of Nyx Assassin, again, a fairly thin lineup from Team Liquid. Elder Titan, yes, he can tank up and does begin to feel pretty damn survivable if he gets off to a good start. But Visage, Bane, Nature's Prophet, all three heroes that if they're caught with the AA ulti and then hit with the Vendetta, plus a Mana Burn, plus an Impale from behind, you can oftentimes burst those heroes down extremely quickly. And especially if it's in the middle of a fight, just being able to pick your target, even if Doom already spends his Doom on the Bane, just taking him out of the fight, or even going on the Visage and just letting Doom run its course on the Bane. There's a lot of ways Cloud9 can deal with Team Liquid's lineup. With the Elder Titan thrown into the mix now, though, it's going to be essential that Cloud9 engage on their terms. They need to make sure they're hitting their AA ultimates. They need to make sure Lifestealer is getting into these fights effectively. Outside of the Bane, they don't really have a whole lot to lock down the Lifestealer yet. I mean, yes, you can sprout him with Nature's Prophet, but that's only, going to be so reliable in so many cases. So if Cloud9 has the initiation advantage in a lot of these fights, at least based on what we see right now, this is a team that can run over Liquid. But again, this is kind of Liquid style. They say, okay, you want to play aggressive? We can just, well, they kind of live up to their namesake. They're just going to flow around that and do their best to turn whatever aggressive potential you're trying to bring to bear against you, force you to make mistakes, force you to overextend, and force you to react to their counter reaction.
Yeah, right now, it's just like building on top of that, Team Liquid, like they always seem to favor really, really unique lineups, which is both a strength and a weakness in their regards. But in the fact that oftentimes, like you said, their lineups feel thin, and that's because they often pick heroes that aren't typically powerful enough going into that 15 to 25 minute mark. You don't have a whole lot of heroes right now that do a whole lot for you. Nature's Prophet is split pusher. He doesn't really get into these team fights. Very, very early on when he has his ultimate, it can actually really upset tri-lanes, but once you start getting into 10 minutes, 15 minutes, he doesn't really do a whole lot for you besides the split pushing and besides some additional ganking. But compared to other offlaners, there are other heroes that have a much larger impact as you start going into the mid-game. Elder Titan is a hero that Liquid have always favored, and he is good versus Lifestealer because he's a hero that actually builds up a large amount of damage. Any sort of physical damage is actually really strong versus Lifestealer, even if it's on a decently tanky hero like Elder Titan who has a problem with Feast. You're still going to actually be able to out-damage Lifestealer with that extra spirit damage. With the aura coming into play, it's actually very powerful, but I don't feel that Elder Titan is enough control control is enough mid-game action because he doesn't provide any disable up until he has a stomp, and that's oftentimes too late into the game. You have Bane and Visage. Sure, Bane is a very good control hero, but he's pretty defensive in his nature. Visage is a good nuker, but he needs to be able to have some other nukes to be able to play off of, and you don't really have that strong initiation just yet. So maybe that's their thought, is their carry is going to be aggressive, a very aggressive mid-game oriented carry that will make up for their lack of, or they go for the late game here. Looking at Cloud9's lineup, they see a Lifestealer, they see a Doom. They think that maybe some sort of really hard carry can outtake that, but you don't want to go a hard carry up against a Doom traditionally, so they're going to go for a mid-game aggression build.
I love that Slardar pick. It gives them something they needed so desperately to begin. The Lifestealer has some armor issues to begin with, and we know when he's raged, he's a handful. He gets an armlet. Yes, he has feast. Yes, he has open wounds, so he can feel very tanky whenever he's in the midst of his engagements. But Slardar, a mobility hero, and with the blink buff, actually in my in my patch reaction that I submitted to Team Liquid, I talked about how I felt like Slardar was one of the heroes that got one of the most direct and indirect buffs in the last patch. I really expect him to see more and more play as teams adjust to this, but having that potential now gives them that spam ability on a lockdown spell and Slithering Crush. Armor reduction from amplified damage on the Lifestealer can be an absolute bane for him, especially if they do intend to fight early, and by all accounts, looking at the 5 they drafted, this is not a composition you're going to draft just to sit back and farm for a long time. You're going to want to get involved in a lot of these fights. And yeah, I feel like the Slardar pick is probably the best option they could have gone for to address one thing you kind of made mention of, which is Liquid up until that Slardar pick was lacking in damage heavily. I mean, the Nature's Prophet, yes, he can go right-click if he gets far enough ahead, but that takes time. Visage, as you said, a great nuker. However, he needs a lot of damage build up around him. You have a nice pure damage nuke in Bane's Brain Sap, but again, there's not enough sustain, or at least there wasn't. Slardar, though, if he gets off to a good start, will give them what they need to try to jump C9, or at the very least have a nice answer to them getting the jump on them. And you know, whenever you look at the way this mid game is going to play out, a lot of it's going to come down to the start TC gets. Is he going to get an early blink? One would imagine he will. Will it come after a Vanguard? Will there be another item he potentially builds? When will a BKB come out? BKB going to be pretty damn important for him too. But the Doom now has 2 very, very solid targets he has to choose between when he throws his ultimate, the Bane or the Slardar. Either way, a lot of this game going to be determined by vision and by who gets the jump on who gets that initiation advantage.
All right, guys. Well, I also forgot to introduce again. I'm sorry. So sorry, Nahaz. But we got Nahaz, the stats man, who's going to be joining us as well, bringing on all those lovely stats that he adds to the broadcast. So thanks to him for joining us, and a big shout out to him. You can follow him at Nahaz Dota, and we're going to give him one of the giveaways, the Dota 2 Lounge giveaways that we've been doing every single day with the Dota 2 Champions League. We're going to give him one of those, so you can follow him at Nahaz Dota, you know, just to make up for the fact that I never introduced him.
Yeah, Nahaz kind of awesome. He helped out with the D2L and a couple other events. He actually lended his services to CIS Carnage, and love working with him, love working with you, and love getting the chance to see these two teams go head-to-head for the second time in 2 days. Let's take a look at the lineups. We got Nyx Assassin handled by Bone7 here in the offlane. Going to have the Lifestealer, as mentioned, handled by Eternal Envy. AUI going to be lending his support on the Ancient Apparition down in that lane. Doom going to work in the jungle. He'll be played by Sing Sing with Sand King. Taken mid by Pylai Dai. I actually really like this, and we'll get back to that in a minute. Other side of the river, we've got Bulba on the Elder Titan going head-to-head with Pylai Dai. It'll be Slardar farmed by TC. Right now should be able to get himself off to a good start. Koikva's got the Nature's Prophet here out in the offlane. Should be safe for a little while, especially if he's able to get up a early pair of phase boots. The Bane going to be played by Fluff. He's currently up in the defensive tri-lane right next to TC with Visage. Hanging back, looking to stack, looking to pull. Yeah, played by Way Too Sexy.
Yeah, and what I love about this tri-lane coming out from Liquid is that it's really, really strong versus a Nyx Assassin. Because of the fact that you're able to throw down that sleep, you can't reliably use Spike Carapace to save yourself, because TC is going to be able to follow up that sleep with the stun, and there's no opening for this Nyx Assassin to be able to defend himself. Then you have a Visage Nuke coming in before that stun is over. They could easily pop Nyx Assassin if Bone7 puts himself in a bad place. But going back, I really agree. This Sand King going mid is a very, very smart decision, because Sand King has always been notorious as a strong support in the mid game, but has very, very little lane presence, primarily because of his low range on Burrow Strike.
Yep. And yeah, Sand King is rather unique in that respect, in the fact that his primary disable does increase in range with every level, so he is deceptively level dependent. He needs a handful of items, but not a whole lot to be effective. But yeah, level's very important to him, and whenever you see him wind up in situations like the old school off lane Sand King, he can very easily find himself in trouble there. He also can find himself really underleveled in lane as well, especially if he takes a dumb death or so. We're actually going to see that haste picked up by Bulba, so managing to get there just in time. But so far, pretty quiet, I think. I mean, whenever you talk about Koikva on the Nature's Prophet, that's something we're drawing attention to as well. Hang on. Sing Sing eating a lot of damage, forced to spin the net. He's going to be dove. Here comes Bulba, Pylai Die, trying to land a Burrow Strike. Will he get it? He will, just in time. Will it be enough? The haste, though, has a quarter time. And Bulba, oh, he's being greedy. He's going to dive the tower up under it and gets it with the Ancestral Spirit. The tower didn't lock on, and he's going to be able to scurry away and bottle himself back up to survivable. 3 minutes in, we got our first blood on the board to give the advantage to Team Liquid.
That was such a smart play there from Bulba. The fact that he, at that last second, used Astral Spirit instead of going for that auto attack, made sure that he didn't draw the aggro of the tower, which was focusing on creeps at the time. So that was a very smart decision by him that not only gave him the kill, but made sure he didn't return one to the Sand King.
And yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. That's just, and whenever it comes to solo lane players, Bulba, be it in the off lane or in the mid lane, he's just as crafty as it comes, just to use one of the old cliches. I mean, he really just does find a way to get what he needs most of the time. Sing Sing and Pylai Die going in and out of the jungle is interesting as well. In the latest patch, there was a buff to Sandstorm, and once you get a Sand King to level 3, you can actually stack and clear hard camps very effectively in the jungle, and optimizing it. I've kind of experimented with it myself. Whenever you decide to get into that jungle, it is very possible to have up a set of brown boots and a blink dagger and be quite high level around 8 minutes into the game. I mean, that's not just possible. It's very, very easy to do once you mess around with it a bit. And having gotten the start as a solo lane Sand King to begin, that's only going to accelerate that process. So the fact that they started Doom out in the jungle, who actually starts very, very well, even though he is kind of slow across general progression in the jungle, starting him there, letting him get a handful of levels, and the Sand King and mid that's swapping them out around level 2 or 3. Just a brilliant laning coming out from Cloud9.
I believe if Bone7 was actually looking at his illusion right now, he should have been able to see the smoke that just went out from the Bane and the Visage. They just barely put it out right as the illusion was going up the hill, and he could have seen a little bit of that smoke animation. But he hasn't mass pinged it out yet. So it could be that we're going to see the first rotation coming out from Team Liquid, and they're going to try and shut down this Doom nice and early. He's a low armor hero, which is perfect if they have the right setup. Now they're going to be able to throw down the Nightmare, and the slow is going to be able to give Bulba a lot of time to get in those auto attacks. And after that, they're going to make pretty short work of Doom thanks to his low armor and then the Visage nuke coming in after that. So if they do actually make this rotation, if they do catch out Sing Sing with the sleep, it's going to be a pretty easy kill for them to have.
Yeah, a lot of this is going to come down to Sing Sing's game sense and just keeping himself positioned well. Right now, he's quite far forward, but if he can just get off his Scorched Earth, he'll have a chance to survive this. And yeah, he's going toe-to-toe with Bulba. You have to be so careful up against an Elder Titan. He does have a remarkable amount of single-target damage once he throws out his Ancestral Spirit and gets the bonus damage. And Sing Sing now at half health, this could be problematic. He has to play careful. He's going to be helped out a bit by, actually really smart by Bulba, pulling the creep wave back and making it so Doom's going to have to come a bit more into lane if he wants to CS. And Sing Sing so far playing it very smart, recognizing there's a lot of black space on the map and knowing that if he comes out, there could be a couple of heroes waiting, and there would have been, as Fluff and Way2 seem to have abandoned things, and even they're spotted by the Nyx Assassin illusion now. So nice play and good instincts coming out from Sing Sing.
Yeah, very, very smart. He was also fortunate enough, he spent a little bit of extra time in the jungle early to find that ice armor. And that is such a boost of defense against an Elder Titan who depends so heavily on being able to pretty much harass out. He's really good versus other melee heroes because he can just add in so much extra damage with that spirit. So Sing Sing picking up that ice armor is pretty much the only reason he's still in lane at a decent amount of health, because otherwise he'd be feeling the blow of pretty much every single hit by Bulba. Pretty much the full amount of damage with that very, very small amount of armor that Doom has naturally.
And we can see the Eternal Envy with AUI doing what they can here on this Tier 1 bottom. And they're going to be able to get some damage done, but the rotations are beginning to happen from Liquid. They just haven't been able to really find an opening yet. Sing Sing now level 6 has a Doom, and that is such a deterrent spell. Trying to dive a Doom can get very problematic if you're totally reliant on one extra spell or one extra disable, and he's able to get the Doom off. That plus Scorched Earth does make him a bit of a chancy target to go on in these early phases, so they might look to focus their efforts elsewhere. Nyx Assassin is actually at level 4.5, so he's not doing terrible in this offlane. Farm, obviously, abysmal. But TC, level 6.5, he's at 43 CS, as is the Lifestealer. So they've broken even in terms of pure CS count so far.
Yeah, something that Koifa is now doing is he's farming up jungle because he was getting pretty close to that Midas. He had a good amount of levels, and now he's just full-time jungling. And that actually was able to dodge the rotation there from Pylai. Pylai was trying to get behind this tier 1 tower and may find Liquid.
Wait 2, Burrow struck, dead. And TC's going to come back in off of the teleport, though. Lands the crush. He's very low health. Has to be careful trying to find some safety, but killed off by the infest damage of Eternal Envy. He heads up play, infesting in and waiting for the right time. Bulba rotated as well, but it ends up being a 2-for-1 trade going the way of Liquid. Make it 2-3 now, as AUI says, yeah, he hates his team. It happens.
Yeah, that was a good rotation. I think that Liquid, with the really fast, like normally you don't want to move your carry outside of that lane, but it was still a decent response. It's just unfortunate that that Ancient Apparition, that Chilling Touch, just is so powerful, especially once you activate that sprint. You're taking that extra 15% of damage. As you notice, he didn't actually go for a max sprint build. He went for an early level of bash as well. Players kind of waffle back and forth between the two builds of saying that, you know, the extra levels and sprint faster is very, very important, whereas sometimes other people depend on the RNG of being able to have that bash. But in that one situation, it could have been that if he had 2 levels of sprint, he might have been able to get out of that infest range. But Eternal Envy had that very, very smart play of recognizing he wasn't getting in, get in that last auto attack, and being able to throw down that infest is a really good response. But Liquid obviously not coming away from that engagement too well with their carry down, but they are still moving around the map. I like the fact that they are reacting well to Cloud9's aggression. At the very least, they're doing that much.
There's that Blink Dagger pickup from TC. I was just going to say I'm a little shocked, actually. TC should have had the gold to pick up that Blink Dagger before he died, and ended up not doing so. Just a little frantic. Bone 7 caught with a Nightmare. Way 2's right there beside him. Hits him with the Grave Chill. Brain Sap for the burst. AUI's there. Not going to matter, as they pick him off with the long-range artillery, and Liquid now doubling up C9. But this is what Liquid does. They're not doing anything particularly high-flying. I mean, yeah, Bulba had a bit of a dive, and that's all well and good. But they're just finding good openings. They're not even doing it with smoke for the most part. I mean, they smoked once and were unable to find a kill. And but yeah, this is their bread and butter. And now with the Blink Dagger up on the Slarter, I actually love a Blink first build on Slarter. And basically, if you go Vanguard first on Slarter, you're committing yourself to having to farm a Blink before you can come fight, even if you're falling behind, even if you're really needed. Usually, you're going to have your combat effectiveness heavily reduced, but when you get a Blink, you can do this. Catching Sing Sing up on the side, he is going to be able to scurry to safety because of the reaction of Pylai Die as well as the Scorched Earth. But yeah, we already saw right there. Now he can just sprint back up to lane, go find farm, and maybe go look for another kill.
Yeah, they really need to make these rotations from TC worth something, though, because right now Eternal Envy is getting that a large amount of extra farm. He's already picked up 2 kills, and he's sitting here free farming in lane. He has the highest amount of CS, and TC has fallen behind him just because he's trying to make those rotations. And so far, it hasn't really been all that worth it for him. So far, Cloud9 doing a really good job staying aware of this new Blink Dagger pickup and playing a little bit passive, just staying safe until they have their Blink Daggers. They have a lot of strong melee initiators. Whether or not Doom chooses to go a Blink of his own, or if they're going to depend just on the Sand King and hope that he's going to have an early enough Blink Dagger, we'll have to see. But either way, they've got 2 really good melee initiators for this Lifestealer to be able to infest inside.
And I totally agree with you. The TC's reactions so far have not been the most fruitful. He's 0-1-1 compared to 2-0 for Eternal Envy at this point, so he came out ahead of anyone in regards to that bottom engagement. But for right now, I mean, we see Eternal Envy's already picked up his drums. He's got his phase. Really want to see what he wants to grab next. Looks like Liquid wants to try and pressure this tier 1 mid to force a reaction. They have to be so careful when they do this, though. Again, especially once AA finds his level 6. He's not there yet, but he's pretty damn close. And once he finds that plus an epicenter plus the burst from Nyx Assassin, that can melt an entire team. I mean, they do have a team that can not only carve you up, but hang on, there's a Nightmare onto Bone 7 after spawning Fluff. Looks like he'll be able to make it away. But Yeah, they've got a team wipe team. If they engage correctly, Cloud9 can absolutely erase 3 heroes from the map with a few well-placed spells. So both teams really watching their positioning, and as we knew it would be, all about vision, all about movement, all about who's going to come up on top. Koikva, in the meantime, though, has completed that Midas, so we'll see how quickly he's going to become a much bigger factor than he has been so far.
Yeah, right now I feel that Liquid, with the way that they're not making these rotations worth anything because Cloud9 are playing pretty passive. I feel that Cloud9 is actually getting very, very far ahead because normally you wouldn't say that it's hard to say that you actually have higher impact supports in the mid game than a Bane and a Visage, who are very, very strong in the mid game, but they actually do. Ancient Apparition and that Ice Blast, and then the Sand King Ultimate, he's one of the highest impact supports. Actually, how he goes down in middle. They they finally make that Blink Dagger worth something for them, but Eternal Envy also picked up the top kill on Bane at the same time. So.
There's that epicenter. Only caught TC, but TC able to survive through it. Earth Splitter going to split the wickets as Pylai and Sing Sing spread out. After that kill in mid, oh, there's an impale. Sure, about 7. But after that tower death and after that kill on AUI, that should actually swing the gold in Liquid's favor. And yeah, that's a big turnaround. Already we can see going from about a 300 gold lead for Cloud9, flipped around, and now almost 1,000 gold lead for Liquid. The experience in their favor as well, and they're going to continue to pressure here, and really, why wouldn't they? They're in a beautiful position to begin to capitalize on the fact that Lifestealer is still not quite yet ready. He's got 1,700 gold in the bank, AA ultimate well shot, but with no one around to follow it up, not going to deter Liquid whatsoever. But yeah, Envy's transition now, as we approach 12 minutes, going from this stage, going on into 15, 20 minutes, that's going to be the tail of the tape for Cloud9. If Liquid can manage that, they're going to be in great shape. But as mentioned, EE atop the last hit CS board, as well as having 3-0 now for himself. And it looks like Nyx Assassin actually found himself a kill somewhere, picking off the Visage.
Yeah, pretty much was way too far out in this bottom lane and gets caught. But Bulba might return it.
Yep, Bulba with a little help from Koikva. Bone 7, a return kill for him. That's actually probably in favor of Liquid as well. Trading a Nyx Assassin for a Visage. You never want to lose your Visage, especially one that's going to be building a medallion very quickly. But yeah, Nyx Assassin needs a good start as well. He's level 7, already ahead of the Visage.
Yeah, because they're also going to be able to get in a decent amount of Tier 2 damage here because Cloud9 have to commit to finishing off this Tier 1 at top. So this is definitely a good trade for Liquid so far. And they also have a really good Roshan taking team with this Slardar. So that's probably what they're angling for right now, especially since they know all of Cloud9 are top, and they'll see them when they teleport bottom because of the way that this lane is pushing in consistently. So they've got enough map control to know that they can take this Roshan without Cloud9 being able to respond in time.
Yep, the mass armor reduction coming out from the medallion pickup on the Visage, plus amplified damage. We can see this Rosh dropping very quickly. And yeah, that's actually going to put Koikva right on top of Mech. So the Mech's going to come out roughly the same time. Sing Sing picked his up, but here we go. This is how you play a Slardar, and I love seeing what Liquid's doing right now. They maintained a status quo, took what they could. They found themselves a lead, but now not backing off at all. Smoking immediately out of the pit, looking to find something here in mid, and they might be able to dive this tier 2. Nope, AUI, a little too smart for that. Going to back himself up, but EE, as well as Pylai could be a viable target if they happen to move in the wrong direction.
Yeah, they've already got the vision from this top ward right now that was able to see any rotations into this top lane. So they know they're heroes. From Cloud9, you could see TC is already popping his sprint in anticipation of finding them.
Pylai with the passenger, misses on the crush. And Pylai looks like he was thinking about coming back. Very good decision not to have the snap judgment of, oh, look, there's a kill because I have a Nyx inside me. He had a whole team behind him. But here we go. They actually are going to go for it. Way 2's going to be picked off. The rest of Liquid caught a little bit of a sleep at the wheel. They backed off and weren't anticipating that. And very nice pickup there for Cloud9, just taking what's given to them. They got a free one.
Yeah, these small pickoffs are really snowballing against Liquid because right now they have such a... This is their time to really take a lot of towers and force a lot of aggression. And Cloud9's with these small pickoffs are sort of limiting the amount of time that Liquid will just be able to take free towers. In fact, they may even be able to turn and fight one of these team fights without even their epicenter ready.
And Pylai Die going to be spotted by the familiars. There's an AA ultimate going to be thrown out. That will catch Koikva. Just barely. No, another good crush. TC decides to back out as he sees the TP in from Sing Sing. Sing Sing has not spent Doom, and Liquid would be probably well advised to get out of dodge while they can. They saw Bone 7 come in. There's a stomp. Earth Splitter to follow it up. Will they get them? There's the crush on Sing Sing. He's going to end up being brought down. Mech keeps him alive a little bit. Nope, there's that movement speed. So Doom can be very tough to track down, but not with a Blink Dagger. Now the reinitiation on the TC, taking some tower damage on the back of that as well. But a nice pick off. Sing Sing so far, not as big an influence on the map as he would like to be. He's actually sitting at 0-2 right now and really hasn't contributed that much. TC didn't even lose his Aegis there. And I'm sure we're going to see Liquid lock and load and get ready to try to do something else with one of these remaining tier 2s.
Yeah, what I love about the Slardar picked up, especially if you're on the Dire side, it really gives you pretty much this early Blink Dagger, leaves you exposed to the fact that while you do have really good initiation, you're easily turned around on. Fortunately, because of that Aegis that TC has, Cloud9 can never actually make that maneuver because once they kill the Slardar, he'll come back and he'll continue the pursuit with his team actually being able to follow up. So this Aegis pretty much shores up one of the little bit of the weaknesses of Slardar when he picks up this early Blink Dagger, and this is going to give them enough time to be aggressive and force fights and take down towers until he has that BKB. So he should lose the Aegis about the same time he has that BKB, and once you have that, there's very, very little Cloud9 can do about that kind of initiation. They're pretty much guaranteed to lose a hero. But wait, dude, looks like he may get picked off.
No, there's a lot of people from Liquid. Quakeball missed with the impale, can't do that. And he was probably dead regardless, but didn't even get off his full combination there. But yeah, right now, honestly, what I think is doing as much work as anything else for Liquid as their vision and their warding. We can see they knew everything that was taking place. They spotted the Nyx coming in. They've got 2 wards down in the enemy jungle. So they rotated for there, felt very confident about it. The tier 1 mid is looks like it was going to be counter push, but Bulba in position there while the rest of his team continues to pound away at this tier 2 bottom. And really right now, Cloud9 just feels like they're a little bit haggard. They're being stretched across the map. Their movements are not very fluid. And here we go. Epicenter onto Koikva and Fluff. Very low. Up, nice, well shot AA ultimate. Pylai Die. Down to about half health. TC got caught with the Doom there. Does still have an Aegis. And eating still a bit of damage. Already a 2-for-0 exchange. They get the Aegis and see if they want to do something else with it. Earth Splitter following the stomp, and there's another good burrow strike. TC being melted down by Eternal Envy and just completely torn asunder. Bulba going to try to TP away. Will not be able to make it. And Bone 7's not done. He's still chasing way too. Out off to the side, going to land the Impale following the Vendetta burrow strike, and a big turnaround, exactly what Cloud9 needed to get this match back underway. It was beginning to slip away a little bit. They had given up almost a 4,000 gold lead. Now it's cut in half, and they got the Aegis.
Yeah, there was really no reason for Liquid to get caught out that much. When they have that Aegis up on Slardar, he could have been sitting way far forward, only one hitting the tower with the rest of his team much, much further back. Not only when you have a Sand King picking up a lot of early levels, but also that early Blink Dagger, it's a very, very scary mid-game oriented clear that can pretty much kill many of your supports and knock down most of your cores very, very low. So grouping up like that, it makes it even worse when you have an Infest coming out as well. I mean, just that combo by itself can practically kill most of the heroes on Liquid. So them grouping up like that a little bit too much ended up getting them caught way out. And Cloud9 form a really nice response into what was Liquid pretty much controlling the game, and they're looking to be able to take a lot of these tier 2s and just continue to snowball from there. But that one team fight has pretty much put a stop to all of that, and Liquid are going to lose a lot of gold to the way of Cloud9, not just because of the hero kills, but also because of the time that Cloud9 will be able to farm up and continue to get their next set of items.
Oh, yeah, and you can already see that coming into play. Taking a look at the gold graph, it's back in favor of Cloud9 by less than 1,000, but still back in their favor for the first time in about 10 minutes. And that loss of momentum is going to hurt Liquid so much. When you have a Slardar pick up, you need him to continue. Even if it doesn't always go your way, you need to break even, and that was anything but that. Cloud9, again, just with a really smart reaction and capitalizing on a slight overextension and bad positioning by Team Liquid. And we can already see their posture is much more defensive. Bone 7, though, going to take it right to them as he's under cover of Vendetta, moving through the jungle. He's going to spot Way2. Poor Way2 has eaten a lot of Vendettas and a lot of Impales, and that's going to be another kill for Cloud9 as they have completely taken back control of this game.
Yeah, I love the fact that Pylai went ahead and picked up that early Veil of Discord. It's actually, when you look at the damage between being able to upgrade your ultimate from an Aghanims or Veil, Veil is actually much more effective, and then the added bonus of being able to increase other people's magic damage, including your other ability, Burrow Strike. So this is actually a very important pickup for Pylai, and the fact that they were able to get him so farmed up so early on is honestly the biggest thing that has kept Liquid from just crushing this game so far.
Oh, yeah. Could not agree more. And as you said, the numbers work out in Veil's favor. Very easy to build out early. You can build it piecemeal. And pretty much everything is going to help the Sand King, at least in some form or fashion. And then if you really want to, you can try to follow it up with a Scepter later on. And again, you know, one of the best items to build out just because every one of those items, parts of the Scepter, are really nice. Usually pretty easy to pick up once you get into late game gold usage and so on and so forth. But taking a look at items across the rest of the board, TC is looking for a much-needed Blink Dagger. He'll have it at about 400 gold, so if he can stay alive, he should be in good shape. Quakeva, in the meantime, playing a bit of an old-school Prophet. You see it more and more now than you did for quite some time, but, you know, being the mech carrier, he's going to be getting a Necro Book up next. In fact, he should have it right now. Should be able to get straight to Necro Book 2. Momentarily as well. Going to be a BKB pickup on Bull, but he's also picked up Drum, so he's beginning to feel very survivable. Way2, though, usually Way2's Visage is just one of the best in the business. He has really been negated by Cloud9 so far, and by Nyx Assassin in particular. He's sitting at 2 and 5, and generally a Visage is going to pick up a number of early game kills just because of how Soul Assumption works. It's such a potent nuke, and the range on it is simply absurd. But that's just not the case. And being able to hold him down to lay a Scepter has really, really put a crimp in Liquid style.
Yeah, and right now, Roshan is actually back up again, and this is perfect timing for Liquid. Right as they're about to finish up their BKB, they're going to be able to go Roshan. You can already see Cloud9 have just checked it with the Ice Blast, and they do have vision, so they're going to be making that rotation. In fact, you already see Cloud9 smoking up with their bottom trio, and the other two from mid are already making their way to the Rosh pit immediately. So this is going to be the big deciding factor for the rest of the game, pretty much who's going to gain the advantage and who's going to take it.
Burrow Strike on the fluff. This is a nice pickup for them. They blow him up very easily. Liquid is going to be relying on him so much moving forward and for the rest of the game just because of how unbelievably far ahead Eternal Envy is right now. He's sitting on 1,900 gold. He's 4-0-5. Level 15 right now puts him on top of the board. In fact, he's 2 levels higher than anyone on the side of Liquid, and the next highest on Liquid being level 13 for the Nature's Prophet. So they have to have these Fiend's Grips, and this comes down to what we were talking about during the draft. Liquid doesn't have a lot of lockdown unless Slarder's able to stay alive and hit his crushes. They just didn't draft for it. So in terms of being able to disjoint these fights, set up nice Fiend's Grips coming out from the Bane, that's going to be a little bit difficult. I mean, yeah, the Stomp is nice, but you can only get so much mileage out of that. Up at top, Quakeva's going to be picked off, and once again, Eternal Envy finding a kill with the help of Pylai Dai.
Yeah, and they're already going back to middle as well.
Sing Sing going to be a return kill. He's really been hurting this game as well. We see him picked off in mid. Sing Sing at 0-3, same, in fact, as Fluff. And, yeah, I mean, right now it's basically feast or famine across both teams. There are 2 heroes way ahead for Cloud9. Just the Lifestealer and the Sand King accounting for 9 of the 13 kills tallied by them so far. Then on Liquid, you've got 0-3 on the Bane, again, as mentioned. TC really hasn't been as effective as he would like. 1-2-4 for him, 2-5 on the Visage. AA ulti will spot this out, but it's going to be too little too late as the armor reduction's a bit much. No, Pylai Dai comes in, and Slarder snatched the Aegis. So even though Pylai Dai got the Roshan kill, TC does manage to grab that Aegis, however, ends up losing it immediately. So not a bad little exchange from Cloud9. Mitigated their losses about as well as they could have.
Yeah, top, they're actually going to try and catch out Bone 7, but great reaction from Bone 7, throwing down the Impale, perfect timing to hit TC before he could get that Blink stun. So really well done by him. But yeah, that's the danger of the Sand King Ancient Apparition. You don't have much higher impact supports when you're talking about going into the mid game like this. And it shows when just those 2 heroes were able to not only take Roshan, but also take away the Aegis away from Liquid. That was just a beautiful play. From the Sand King. Just absolutely wonderful, and pretty much stopped what could have been Liquid using that Aegis to their advantage to be able to take tier 2s. Again, Liquid really need to be able to start taking some of those objectives, and Aegis is really how they make sure that their initiation is going to go their way.
And Eternal Envy looking for another kill on Koikva, unable to find one this time around. He is getting quite fat. He's already transformed that Maelstrom into a Mjolnir, so his attack speed is quite high. We're actually seeing a bit of a resurgence of that item. And this is kind of a pub build. Hold that thought. Way too. Trying the dodge. TC's there to help him out. AA Ultimate's going to be there, but doesn't matter. And Slarder doing his job. TC trying to get things back on track a little bit. And he's not in terrible shape. I mean, he's got 1,000 gold, his BKB, his Blink, and his Treads. But still, you know, he just got deflated early. Whenever you're able to stop the snowball of a Slarder, it is a huge uphill battle for him to try to get back ahead, especially when you have a well-farmed Lifestealer. Now, AUI going to be spotted by Bulba, who's under cover of an Invis. There it is, with TC there to help out, as well as Koikva, another free kill. And Liquid beginning to find their stride once again, just carving this map up.
Yeah, Liquid seeing that opportunity, getting one pick off, and then getting very, very aggressive with their Furion and trying to find more. That way they can finally take these objectives. I think this is going to be I'm really thinking Halberd is going to be the option for TC, but Epicenter goes down.
Epicenter just on Koikva, TC. They're right at the edge. There's the Earth Splitter. This is going to catch at least, yep, caught 2. And they've already managed to turn it around, 2 down. Sing Sing pops the mech, and that may be enough to force them away as the Doom was tossed off. I actually didn't see who he got it on. Pretty sure he threw that out. No,
he stopped it. He realized that he wasn't going to be able to actually pick off any of those heroes, and he went ahead and held on to it for another time.
Yep. So holding on to it, they lose a couple. They do manage to get Koikva, though, but this match remains extremely competitive. In fact, at 26 minutes, 20 seconds, take a look at the goal graph. It was sitting exactly at 0, now slightly back in favor of Liquid, and this one looks to be a barn burner if this continues.
Yeah, and now Cloud9, knowing that they still have the Doom up and Furion down for a little bit longer, they're going to go for this number advantage. They're going to try and force down a tier 2. And Liquid, they do have some decent defense, but Pieliedie finds that initiation.
Cloud9 trying to pick up Bulba behind the tower. AA Ultimate does not catch either of them. They're right on the outer edge of it. We see Eternal Envy, Pieliedie and Sing Sing retreating through the Dire Side Secret Shop. Bulba just trying to chase them, keep view of them, know where they're heading. And this will be a flat-out retreat. So Liquid with a fairly good defense there. Very aggressive play out of Cloud9. And this is kind of what I was talking about with Liquid and the way they do play. They're not only good at carving you up, they're very good at reacting to teams that play this kind of style and able to turn them away wanting with nothing to show for it. Way2 right now is actually getting very close to his scepter. He's more than 3/4 of the way done with it. In fact, only needs about another 500 gold. He'll have that up. Book 3, as well as the mech done on Koikva. Very key items are coming out for Liquid. The question, though, remains, what can they do with Slarder? He looks like he just bought something. That will be a Sange. So this could be a good pickup. If he picks up this Sange and it's on the way to a Heaven's Halberd, that could actually really screw Cloud9 if they're initiated upon and they aren't able to keep the Nakes safe.
Yeah, Slarder is something that I would kind of classify as almost like an anti-carry. He's not the greatest carry, but in one-on-one situations, he excels, and Halberd just increases that factor. It means he's just going to be holding on to that Lifestealer. He jumps on him, tries to get those bashes, puts on that amplified damage, and doesn't let go, and the Halberd gives him a lot of defense against that. But the initiation coming in.
These are the kind of deaths TC simply can't be giving up. It's good movement from Cloud9, but he was just way too far out. With no tier 1 there playing that far out, no direct vision of anyone on the map, that's going to happen. This is where Cloud9 makes their money. This is their bread and butter. Just, being aggressive, being in the right place at the right time, and capitalizing. And now with Sing Sing picking up Ashivas, their ability to engage in bigger team fights is beginning to come together as well. Koikva burrow struck up in the side shop of top lane, and yeah, that's a lot of epicenter damage. He plus AUI tally another kill, and Liquid, as well as they were looking just a minute or two ago, gives up a couple of free ones, and they're going to end up falling behind because of that.
Yeah, he picked up practically 800 gold from that engagement because he also killed both of the Necronomicon 3 minions. So he might have taken a little bit of damage, but that was a huge kill for Pieliedie. That's what Cloud9, they see this one pickoff, and they know with the split pushers, Liquid have 2 really good split pushers. Way2, with his Visage now being able to pick up that, once he has that Aghanims, there it is, he's going to be able to split push a lot. It's what he's been focusing on already. Now it gets even more effective, but also the Furion really being able to push in these plays side lane. So when you see Cloud9, they get one pick off, they immediately get really, really aggressive somewhere else on the side of the map. They got that one pick off in mid. They immediately Sand King teleported to that top tier 2 and went for the Furion. They're trying to continually get those pickoffs on Liquid, so they make sure that Liquid don't start 5-manning and start getting that those big team fights that they're looking for. They're just slowly but surely keeping them away while Eternal Envy keeps on farming up even more. He's now got a Basher, going to start being able to build into that Abyssal, and that means once he has the Abyssal, he actually has the one-on-one advantage versus that Slardar because he has that first basic assured bash that he can use with the Abyssal, and then from there it's just very, very easy to be able to chain stun someone, especially with the mass amount of attack speed he has, not only from Rage, but also that early Mjolnir.
Bulba spots out AUI, will be caught with a stomp. TC's right there, crush to follow, amplified damage, and a whole lot of right-click, and that's a kill back in favor of Team Liquid. They've got 5 down in this jungle now. If they decide to try and force a 5-man at this tier 2, and we see Cloud9 react, this is going to be an absolutely huge fight that will determine a lot of how this the tail end of this mid game plays out. In fact, yeah, we can see TC getting in position. They're just going to push this slowly with the Visage Familiars, with some Treants. I like this a lot from them. Bone7 showing up, he's going to be caught out by TC, and that is a huge kill. He's down for 47 seconds. They might decide to push on through here. Very, very possible for them to do so. Roche, will find out how quickly he's going to be up in just a moment. Looks like, nope, they're gonna pull back and reset for Roshan.
Yeah, most of Cloud9 are doing the smart thing in which that they realize Roshan's going to be up soon, and if they force a bad fight, especially with a hero already down, that Ancient Apparition, no Ice Blast available for that bottom fight, they know that if they force it and it goes terrible, they're going to end up losing Roshan, that gives away the Aegis, and again, it just snowballs against you. So they're trying to stay away from that fight for right now and just continue the split push until they're up again. They've got a team that excels at being able to find really significant pickoffs with all these Blink Daggers up. They're going to be able to, not only does Sand King have one, but also Sing Sing as well. Now, we haven't really seen Sing Sing been doing a whole lot with this Doom, but he does have a Shiva's, which is also going to be some additional damage for finding that one big pickoff. So they're looking to go into the enemy jungle, but Team Liquid should be smoking up and grouping up pretty soon. I mean, despite the fact they have really good split push, they need to be a little bit more grouped to stay away from Cloud9's really excelling ability to be able to find heroes with the Nyx Assassin, the Doom, and the Sand King.
I couldn't agree with you more. What they're doing right now actually feels very risky to me. Split up, not just a bit, but complete opposite corners of the map. Yes, they are near a tier 2 for TP reactions. That helps. But, I mean, like, this is ballsy. I mean, they do feel confident in the vision they have. They're going to go for it. Sing Sing not the best target because he is so tanky now. Oh, got 3 of them. However, the epicenter's there. Bulba forced to pop the BKB. We're going to see a TP away. Sing Sing probably going to be the one that gets caught when all's said and done. Pile Die trying to use the Sandstorm. And Bone7 with a great impale to disjoint this. Sing Sing still up and fighting. They're going to dive this out and try to find him. Soul Assumption from distance enough to make it a 1-for-1 exchange, but there's a Fiend's Grip on the Courier, and they get that too. Pile Die lands a good Burrow Strike. They're going to end up giving away 2 more deaths for it. Didn't see what, if anything, was actually on that Courier, so don't know how big of a loss that could be in terms of item delay. But Koikva will barely be able to make it away as Bone7 unable to spot him for the impale. But once again, in terms of pure metrics, Cloud9 comes out ahead momentarily, but Liquid has already cut that gold lead back down to 0 and below and into their favor. So this is, again, just a very tight, very close match, and each fight seems to give us a bit of a new complexion, but it's just so back and forth.
Yeah, Liquid there had an opportunity for a really great fight. But when they lost the Slardar, they had that moment of indecision where they're like, we lost our carry. Do we really turn and fight this, especially with the epicenter still going down? But Bulba had hit such a beautiful, I mean, it was kind of unintended, but it was such a beautiful Earth Splitter that hit all 3 heroes that if he had just thrown the Spirit a little bit farther forward and hit a Stomp and the rest of his team had actually been aggressive, I think they could have killed all 3 heroes there. But they had that moment of indecision, which then allowed Cloud9 to be able to start getting some of that distance, and then from there it was just an inevitable turnaround with all 5 heroes of Cloud9 finally being able to group up and turn against Liquid's pursuit. So that one moment of indecision, man, it can absolutely kill you, but Liquid are going to try and make up for it with a Roshan, but that's going to be spied out immediately by the Ice Blast.
Still, the armor reduction is so intense, they have to react quickly, and Liquid's actually going to back out and play this ultra safe. And Quakeba looked like he wanted the TP away, and he will go ahead and do so. Going down the bottom just to push out. Liquid not in the mood to take a fight at this second. Roshan is still standing. He's at about 2/3 health. Now, this is a cheese Roshan as well. But I really love the Sheba's pick up on the Doom. We saw how hard he was to kill off there. And yeah, they're going to go right in and take this. Liquid trying to be clever and smoke around. They may get there late. Roche is already down to about half. We've got Quakeba pushing the lane. They're going to figure this out pretty soon. And yep, here come the familiars. And it looks like, yeah, they don't want to be hanging around the pit at this moment. Don't want to be that susceptible to an Earth Splitter or to a Stomp. So a lot of shenanigans between these two teams regarding the Roche pit. Neither able to fully commit as of right now. Now, Liquid, again, in a bit of a chancy position here. Whenever Cloud9 knows where they are, Cloud9 generally is going to have a bit of an advantage just because they're going to be able to get themselves kind of ordered in the way they want to be. They're going to be able to set up their chain stuns and so on. And this is kind of weird. They're on each other's side of the map right now. On each other's side of the lanes, I should say. But in the meantime, the split push was taking place, and the Tier 3 did drop down. They're forcing the reaction out of Eternal Envy. They might want to pursue this out. We can see TC's looking for a target, but they are not going to overcommit. So all said and done, that's just a big win for Liquid. Roche didn't drop, and they got a Tier 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Liquid, like, it's so hard to play that right, but they kept their distance pretty much perfectly. Now, they could have been a little bit more aggressive and they would have been able to find a good fight, but still, the fact that they didn't get caught out by Cloud9, but still kept their distance close enough that Cloud9 couldn't immediately teleport back and address that split push was beautiful. And now, it looks like they're going to try and set up for Roshan, but it's so dangerous against this side of the map where it's very, very easy to get a good Sand King initiation like he has time and time again. So they're trying to stay spread. They're just trying to buy time for Koifa because it has to be all 5 of Cloud9. It has to be all 5 of them trying to address this Roshan push. And at the same time, they constantly have this bottom threat of Koifa taking a Rax.
Yeah, we already see, as we saw, the Tier 3 already naked. And this is, at this stage of the game, is when the strength of a Nature's Prophet actually begins to show itself. He forced it a 2-man reaction here, and Liquid immediately moves into the Roche pit. They're still playing a little bit soft because they know the chance for it to be snatched, the chance for Pylai Dai to head in, the AA ultimate, etc. Oh, hang on, they're going to blink past each other. Here comes EE going to work. Gets the bash on TC. TC forced the BKB. Earth Splitter's going to be there. Going to catch a couple. Can they follow it up? They can. Eternal Envy ends up dropping. Quakeba, fresh off a buyback, really a big factor in turning this fight around. EE buys back, but honestly, I think that might be a waste. Nope, there's a buyback from AA. It's not going to be enough to stop this Roshan. It's going to drop way too quickly. They might be able to catch them on the way out of the pit, but they're going to be fighting against an Aegis now. Quakeba spotted out. Here comes Bone 7, hits the Impale. Bulba in trouble. Sing Sing's right there behind that. TC down to half health. He's got the Aegis, and we'll have it taken away very quickly. Sing Sing, in the meantime, though, is going to die again. That's off the buyback. That's a huge kill for them. TC up off the Aegis, reinitiates the fight. Pylai Dai caught out, and the damage on both sides immense. EE, actually, no, he didn't die. I thought I saw him drop. Instead, he's still up and fighting and unable to force this back. But it's a 2-for-2 so far. Quakeba sprouts himself in, looks to teleport away. Pylai Dai unable to follow that up. They may be able to catch Way2, though. Way2 burrow struck. Here's EE to go to work. So they end up, I didn't even see who picked up the cheese there. But, yeah, it was Bulba who did not spend it. So it's a 3-for-2 exchange. Roughly, again, a break even, though it did cost a lot of gold for Eternal Envy to get back into that fight. Slows himself down a bit, but still very close to an Abyssal nonetheless.
Yeah, that was a pretty close engagement, honestly. If Cloud9 had been able to get a little bit better initiation with Pylai Dai coming into play, I'm not sure if whether he was waiting for his allies because he had boots of travel, but he was just slightly behind their initiation with Sing Sing popping the Shivas and just trying to run in. By the time he came in, it was just a little bit too late, but they still got a great engagement. They still made sure that Liquid don't hold a serious advantage after this next 5 minutes marks. They don't have that Aegis to be able to rely on. Cheese is not, it's okay, but it's not as big as that Aegis that was picked up by Slardar. So being able to take away that advantage pretty much makes sure that Liquid can't confidently 5-man uphill just yet. They're going to be looking for pickoffs. So you're going to see a lot of smoke action probably in the next couple minutes if teams still have them up. And they're going to be looking for those big pickoffs because both teams have the opportunity to very, very quickly take a Rax. Liquid more so than Cloud9 because they have this Furion who's now actually building into a lot of damage, has the Necronomicon, has the Scythe of Ice, but also has a Demon Edge as well now. So this is Liquid. If they do, Cloud9 have to go aggressive against Liquid because they want to be able to control the map, etc., etc. Because otherwise, if they force a fight and they lose it, they're guaranteed to lose a Rax. So as it is, they have to push in these lanes. They have to get some map control to make sure that if they do lose a fight, Koifa isn't immediately inside their base, pushing down a Rax and giving Liquid a huge advantage.
Absolutely. It's again, this is where the Furion comes into play, not just because of his items. His items are remarkably important, though. The Scythe of Ice to deal with Eternal Envy, who at this point just owns every item in the damn shop. He actually is underfarmed compared to Koifa, who has just quietly amassed a pile of gold for himself and is beginning to build right-click, as you said. But the combination of the Halberd coming out for TC and Koifa with that Scythe of Ice, being able to get those off, having, again, we talked about it all game, initiation advantage. We saw what happened with Cloud9 whenever they weren't fully on the same page with their initiation, did not go fully their way. The Assault QRS now done for Eternal Envy, though. I'm a little surprised he didn't just flat out grab an Abyssal, but instead going to tank himself up, help his whole team out a little bit. He's hitting very, very hard, though. Even without Armlet toggled, he's hitting for just about 237 damage. But more importantly, he is swiping very fast. At top, we're going to have Pylai Die caught out. He's down for 96 seconds, and he does not have buyback. In fact, at this point, almost everyone from Cloud9 has bought back recently. They got 2 minutes on any buyback from 4 of their heroes. So the only one who could buy back is going to be Bone7. So right now, if they decide to take a fight, it's going to be an extremely risky one. Bone7 is locked and loaded, though, has a passenger.
Yeah, this is really, really risky, trying to force the fight at Tier 2, but they're trying to catch Liquid by surprise.
Here we go, dooming out TC immediately. Sing Sing getting a little bit ahead of his team. Will they initiate off? Here we go. Infest out from Eternal Envy, looking for a target. Bane does not have Fiend's Grip, already spin it, bringing down Pylai Die. Bulba's going to move in. Earth Splitter off the mark, but Sing Sing caught with a Scythe of Ice. He's already shot his wad with Doom, though. 2 for 1 so far. And they did not manage to track down TC. The fact that he's still alive is a pretty big deal, and that's owed a lot to Quake. But now we're going to have him reinitiate AUI. Followed up and brought down. Way2 going to end up dropping to Eternal Envy, though, and now Koifa going to work on, Eternal Envy going to work on Koifa's Prophet. And they're going to be able to track him down after finally taking TC off the board. Big win for Cloud9 there. They had to have it, too. If they ended up losing that fight, the buybacks would have been down for so long. They had a real chance to lose Rax, but executing when it matters the most.
Yeah, that was not only was that a beautiful engagement from Cloud9 in that later half, but it was also really good disengage by Team Liquid. They saw what was going to happen. They saw that Cloud9 were looking to try and catch Liquid by surprise, and Sing Sing's attempt to run in, blink in with the Sheathens and try and slow everyone down for Bone7 to get the blink in Nake's bomb going off. They pretty much dodged most of that damage. It's just unfortunate that when they tried to re-engage, it was a little bit sloppy. They kind of overextended themselves. They got a little too close to the Lifestealer, and he pretty much tore everyone up. And now they've lost a lot of control and what could be a Tier 3 while they wait for their heroes to come back up because they know buyback.
Bluff once again. Focus fired, pops his BKB, the Stomp. Plus the BKB helping him out there. Bulba forced to blow his own BKB to get away from Eternal Envy. Pylai Die does not have Epi, as we saw it spent there. And Shiva's picked up for Bulba as well, being used to try and zone them out. If they can maintain a Tier 3 here, this is actually a pretty damn big deal for them. There was just such a long distance that Cloud9 had to push out after taking that win at their own Tier 2, but looks like they're going to have to reset a little bit. Doom is off cooldown for Sing Sing if he wants to get that up. Going to be about another 60 seconds for Pylai Die's ultimate, but in the meantime, Bone7 does have Vendetta, and as he's using it right now, going to look for a target.
Yeah, he's just trying to find that one pickoff, but there is counter vision, yeah.
Yep, good sentry placement there. Not even sure who placed it, but whoever it is may have just saved a hero's life. And yeah, they're going to be able to maintain here. Again, this game just absolutely tight. We're coming up on 44 minutes in and just a smidge over the 0 line in terms of gold. But when you look at the experience, that's where Cloud9 is getting work done and why they're looking so dominant. They are massively ahead in that category.
Yeah, they've been able to really use the map a lot better, but Liquid have taken a lot more towers, which is where that gold advantage. They've also taken several Roshans as well, so that's why that gold advantage is a little bit bigger for Cloud9. Right now, they are trying to finish up some of their big disables, and at a certain point, Lifestealer does reach a point where he isn't really that good late-game carry anymore because he depends so heavily on his rage time that once that's down, once you have the kiting items, so the supports pick up 4 staffs, you have maybe a Ghost Scepter or 2, and then you have heavy disables. Several Scythe of Vice are going to be up on Liquid. You have Bulba, I believe he's building into one as well with that ultimate orb he already has. And Bone 7 might be in a little bit of trouble, but 4 staff is going to be able to get him away from that Sprout. But you could see Liquid saw the opportunity for that pickoff, and we're hoping to be able to capitalize on that one. But when they don't find it, they immediately just go right back to split pushing. They don't want to fight that engagement just yet until they have their next set of items. It's going to be actually, we may see Way2. He's got a Hyperstone right now.
And Bone 7, as you mentioned, locked and loaded, looking for a target. They're under cover of smoke, fresh off the courier, about halftime left. They might spot Way2, and they will. Way2 in a lot of trouble, but no! TC with the help of that sentry there to try to re-engage. There's the AA ultimate to follow it up. TC's going to end up dying on the back of that. Way2 in the meantime in trouble on the left side of the fight. Quakefa and Bulba forced to run away. They end up trading 1 for 1, but you don't want to lose TC this close to your own tier 3s. Even if it does cost a Nyx Assassin for Cloud9, Fluff will be able to get back to base. So even though an even trade, getting TC down once again, and really that's just becoming the story now. I mean, he's got a halberd, he's got his blink. His blink came out very quickly, treads right after, but he just simply has not been as big a factor as he needed to be during the mid game. And now that we're in the late game, just look at Eternal Envy. The guy is monstrously huge, has enough to finish an Abyssal as we speak.
Yeah, pretty much any sort of engagement, anytime you're trying to blink in with that Slardar, if you have it, you need to be throwing that BKB because Cloud9, not only they're known for being a really good team to respond and force initiations like this that you don't really expect, but they've got all the right heroes for it. They've got 3 different blink daggers up on them, and they also have that Lifestealer Nakes Bomb. So every single time you think we spied out Bone 7, let's go ahead and engage on that, you have to pop your BKB because you don't know how many other heroes are around, lurking around in smoke, lurking around with those blink daggers, and then of course the ever-present Lifestealer who, you know, at this point in time you have to make that assumption that the hero you're jumping has a Lifestealer inside of him. Otherwise, you really pay the price, and TC has several times. He hasn't popped his BKB in time a couple because he wanted to be able to hold on to it for the right response, but these blink daggers proved to be too fast of an initiation. He needs to be able to pop them a little bit more preemptively, otherwise he gets blown up. He may be a decently tanky hero. Right now he's sitting at 2,300 health, but again, when you jump in, you're oftentimes using sprint, and that leaves you open to a lot of burst damage, which is exactly what happened to TC. He just blew up pretty much before he could do anything, and then that Doom continued to keep him disabled, keeping him from being able to pop that BKB. So he needs to be using that a little bit more liberally. I know he doesn't want to, especially with the low duration he has by now, but it's very, very necessary he dodges this initiation.
There's going to be a Burrow Strike on the way too, and that is a dead Visage. In fact, Fluff now in trouble. Quakefa comes in, unable to save his buddy. And that's a big win. They're both down for about a minute. BKB's forced to be popped. Nice all caught the whole team, though. And they're all caught with the Earth Splitter. Eternal Envy ends up dropping. Now they can only scurry away. Bulba turning what was absolutely a disaster into what could be a chance to turn it around. However, Pylai dies Epicenter, likely to put an end to that hope as well. And buyback immediately from Bulba as he dropped, or as the rest of his team dropped. However, best he can do is try to mitigate this. The fact that Eternal Envy's down means he is the highest farmed hero alive right now. And he's going to be able to save this tier 2. Bulba forced to spin buyback. That's going to delay any sort of a chance for a Scythe of Ice. But I'll tell you, that Earth Splitter is probably the nicest I've ever seen shot in professional Dota. Sing Sing going to be caught by the Visage Familiars. And it looks like, yeah, these two must have already burrowed, so unable to do a whole lot there. But still, able to turn what was absolutely an unmitigated disaster into, well, he gave some disaster relief.
Yeah, Bulba really is. I feel he is the strongest player on Liquid. He just makes so many good plays, and even under so much pressure, he always makes the right response. The fact that he bought back and teleported in, I saw that teleport, I was like, oh, I don't know if this is a good idea, Bulba. Even if they are low, you've still outnumbered 4-1 there. And Bulba still manages to make it work, picks up 2 kills, chases away Sing Sing, picks up the gem as well away from Cloud9. You know, that was just a beautiful save by Bulba, and that's also going to be able to give them the Roche because they still have heroes on that death time.
And the AA ulti is going to be there. But I don't think they're going to, there's no way they can get into position. They're teleporting in. They might try to make a run at it. Here comes Bone 7. He goes into Vendetta immediately. But yeah, Roche drops in the meantime. She's going to be picked up by Bulba. And, you know, if there's one hero they need more out of coming down the latter moments of this match, it has to be Fluff. Fluff simply has not done a whole lot on that Bane. Couple of Fiend's Grip, ganks, and so on. But in terms of his ability to stay alive, his positioning, and his ability to just do anything to slow down Eternal Envy's Lifestealer, he really has been lacking. Bulba's been picking up the slack, but if he can get things in gear, Liquid is still very much in this game. And when you look at the gold, yes, it's a lead slightly for Cloud9, but at 50 minutes in, 2,000 gold is absolutely nothing, especially when Liquid's carrying an Aegis. But the big factor, again, continues to be the experience. The experience lead for C9 is just something so hard to overcome, especially whenever they start to fight off like they did at that tier 2. The fact that that's still standing really is just owed to one man, and his name happens to be Liquid Bulba.
Yeah, this is something that we're beginning to, well, actually, chat Cherbia, which hero has been picked or banned in 92% of competitive Dota 2 matches so far in 6.80. That's 150 out of the 163 matches. That is the most of any hero in the pool.
I will say Visage.
I don't think it's... I don't actually feel it's Visage. It's tough. It's tough. It should be obvious because it's like 93%.
Used to be Alchemist. I mean, before the patch, Alchemist was picked or banned in every match through January leading up to the new patch. But since then, I have a real feeling it's Visage. Nyx Assassin's a candidate too, though. I just know for a fact I've seen a couple of matches lately where he wasn't picked or banned, so it makes it tough for me to say him. We'll get the answer in a moment as Liquid once again setting their heels, looking to defend this tier 2. Again, with Aegis and Cheese, this is a little bit more of a risky proposition for Cloud9, and yeah, they want none of it. They're going to go ahead and back off. Now, this is where things get a little interesting. You look at Eternal Envy. He's 6-slotted for all intents and purposes. I suppose he could sell his drums to get something a little bit higher value, but he's hit his combat potential. The fact that Liquid is holding on only bodes well for them so long as they can continue to do so. If they can get a couple of more items on TC, make him more survivable, oh, they might... Ooh. The Ancestral Spirit came out just a little later. They might have been able to make something happen there off of a TC blink. But yeah, TC's only going to get more threatening. Eternal Envy is basically at his combat peak as of this moment. So Liquid, if they can just continue to hold on, are going to be in a surprisingly good position moving into the 60-minute mark.
Yeah, this is something, well done. Visage has been picked and banned in 150 of the 163 pro drafts. Alchemist was banned 100% of 6.79 drafts from January 1st onward. That is hilarious. I love the fact that he was banned out so much.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, this is just one of those heroes that works well no matter what you want to do. Do you want a strong offensive tri lane? Sure, pick a Visage. Do you want a team that pushes well? Pick a Visage. You want a team that's going to be reliant on early Roshans? Pick a Visage. I mean, he just does everything you need him to do, including pushing. I mean, put a Visage and a Chen on the same team. He works there, too. And yeah, I mean, like right now, the hero has been nerfed a couple of times, but for the most part, he's still probably the most flexible hero in Dota.
Yeah, definitely. What I like about Liquid's position right now is the fact that they may be behind in experience. Well, Pilot Eye is going to initiate top.
Bulba caught out and not given a chance to do anything but burst into a spray of red. And that's a big pickup for them. He's now down for 90 seconds, and he did spend his buyback. He's 40 seconds away from being able to buy back another time. And it looks like Cloud9, they want to fall back. They're not going to try to do anything off of that. Probably not feeling very confident in how short a time that Bulba had on his buyback, but still a very fortuitous pickoff and getting the gold graph back and back to even. It was once again heading in favor of Liquid. Just look at this. It looks like an EKG, man. The difference in gold has just been such a back-and-forth affair, and what a hell of a game this has been to start today.
Yeah, and we still have potentially another 2 games to go after this. It's been a hell of a ride, but Bone 7 may find Koifa.
And we can see. Koikfa, yep, super dead. Super dead down at bottom. Really not a whole lot to say. If Eternal Envy is able to get into a fight uninterrupted, he is just going to utterly pink mist these heroes of Liquid. And again, Fluff has got to get off a key grip in whatever the next big engagement is going to be. He has to stay ahead of the fight and make sure he's in the right position. But Pylai Dai has actually picked up a Scythe of Vice, so the item's beginning to get a little creative on both sides. I actually really like it. We see the Refresher Orb was actually picked up on Sing Sing, as Nahaz pointed out, and that's a big item in and of itself if he gets a chance to get off 2 Dooms.
Yeah, Pylai Dai, he's positioning himself for that extra epicenter. It's already off cooldown. This is something that doesn't really bode well for Liquid. They let too many pickoffs go down, and now they're losing the Aegis.
Yep, Aegis just about to expire. Tier 3, a shambles. TC, thinking about it. He's going to move forward. That's a hell of a creep wave. But Cloud9 waiting back and playing patient. Here we go. He's going to go in, gets a Doom off on TC, has another one available. Refresher not yet used. There it is. Gets another one on Bulba. Could not have been done better. TC's going to end up having the Aegis pop right before it expired, but Quake was there to try and re-engage behind that, though. Bulba dove. EE going to work. That's going to be a chop shop on Fluff. No, he gets off the grip. Best grip of the game when he had to have it, but Koikfa, the hero right there, and they saved their racks with that singular Fiend's Grip. Again, though, the Fiend's Grip itself, not the play of that moment. That was all Liquid Koikfa with the Sprout to create the space, to save the Bane, and give them a chance to keep this game going. What a play from the youngster.
Yeah, as you said, Cloud9 pretty much had the perfect initiation, which was double Dooms going down on the most important heroes of Team Liquid. And they still pushed back because of that really excellent play. They kind of overextended themselves, chasing after Bulba, going pretty deep past those tier 4s, and end up getting caught out because of it. But Eternal Envy has already bought back. He knows, he senses blood in the water. He wants to be able to go uphill. He wants to be able to finish this because he knows buybacks are going to be on cooldown for this Furion.
Here we go, going to work on the melee racks. Bulba's still down for 20 seconds. They will end up getting the racks here. So the game getting a bit more complicated for Liquid now. But still, that could have been much, much worse. Much, much worse.
Yeah, they're already controlling the map again. Like, the fact that Furion was down, the fact that he had to sit in his base, not only do they take that middle racks, but Pylai Dai is immediately already bottom. They're already addressing to the top push incoming. So not only do they have this constant pressure middle, but they're pushing out some of the side lanes, making sure that when Liquid smoke up and they find a pickoff or they find a good team fight, they won't be able to have that opportunity to even up the racks advantage. And if they just hold on to this, Cloud9 just hold on to this advantage for a couple more minutes, wait for Roshan and go for that initiation. Again, they have a big advantage when it comes to Roshan, thanks to all their very, very strong initiation, that they pretty much set themselves up for success as long as they don't get picked off in the next 4 minutes.
And again, just take a look at TC's items. You notice something familiar? How about everything? He has had 0 item progression in what feels like 15 minutes, if not longer. Maybe, I mean, it honestly might be longer since he's really had another pickup since I mean, he got the halberd out. We saw that when it was in on the way to being created. But his item progression has been garbage. And that's, again, I was talking about it earlier. That's the saving grace that Liquid has right now, is the Lifestealer is at his combat peak. Unless he sells his drums and buys another big item, he's just not going to get a whole lot better. Hang on, the Scythe device behind it. This could end the game. TC caught out. There's the Burrow Strike from Pylai Dai. Bulba lands the Earth Splitter to try and disjoint things. However, all it really accomplishes is slowing down some of the kills. TC immediately buys back the Visage Familiars, eating some damage and doing some damage at the same time. But a couple of big picks there, forcing a buyback, and buyback's becoming just a huge factor in the way these fights are going to play out. We can see there's a buyback by Koikfa, buyback spent by TC, so they're now in a position to take a Roshan when he respawns. It is going to be a slightly longer respawn timer, though, so Liquid will have time to reset if they decide to rush the pit.
Yeah, that was pretty unfortunate. It was still good engagement by Cloud9. They just kind of bit by that RNG of Roshan not being up yet. But every single time, it feels like Liquid, in the last like 5 or so minutes, they've gotten a little passive. They've gotten a little bit, they're not actively looking for pickoffs anymore. They get caught out farming. Every single time, they're just in a lane, trying to push out a lane, trying to farm up a little bit, and Cloud9 are the ones always on the hunt. They're always getting that initiation. I really think they need to be smoking up. They need to be actively looking for Cloud9, and at the very least, if you happen to run into each other, at least you have that surprise for both teams. Instead, every single time Liquid has been initiated on, they've been lined up every single time for pretty much perfect ultimates from Cloud9, and if they could just upset that, if they could just upset the status quo of the plan of Cloud9, just pretty much addressing every single hero with all their big ultimates, double dooms, epicenter, clearing down some of the squishy heroes. You know, those sort of plays, if they could just stop that by being able to initiate themselves, they could be in good shape once again. But as it is, Cloud9 have gained such a big advantage in the last 5 minutes. Now they're up about 6,000 gold, which, again, we're getting to a point where levels and gold are beginning to matter less. But TC, I mean, right now he's third from last in net worth.
Yeah, exactly. Again, no item progression whatsoever. Has not added to his inventory, and I couldn't imagine how long. I'm almost interested to see. It has to have been 15 minutes, though.
Yeah, it's definitely been a very, very long time since that Halberd pickup, and it doesn't seem like, I can't believe that they say this, but they've shut down the machine. Like, that's always been TC's carry. Despite despite all the disadvantages he has to go up against sometimes, he still manages to find farm. And I don't know, maybe just this aggression of the Slardar is kind of counterintuitive to finding that amount of farm, because you're actively looking for pickoffs, you're actively looking to initiate, and that puts you in the danger zone pretty much of always going down in a team fight. But TC somehow just hasn't been able to find anything in the last 20 minutes or so.
Well, he's looking to find someone in the Roche pit. They're going to be looping around with smoke, but no, they caught out Koikva. That's a big kill. He's down, and his buyback is up in 20 seconds. In the meantime, they're going to catch out Way2 here in mid, and Liquid has just flat out been outmaneuvered. Way2 will be able to make it away as he dodges the AA ultimate, but now Liquid ready to collapse on the back of this. This could be big. Can TC find what he needs? Sing Sing spots him. There's the Doom onto Bulba. Fluff going to be popping his BKB, but with him doomed, he is eating a lot of damage. Without him to account for the Eternal Envy, that very well may be that. Both of those heroes down. No buyback because of gold for Bane. No buyback because of time for the moment. And that's going to be a tier 3 going the way of EE. And TC's going to come back out, land the crush. Going to look to go to work, but the damage isn't there. But it is whenever you have help from the familiars and Way2. So they lose a tier 3, but not a set of racks. TC going to hit the crush on Sing Sing. And they could turn this around. Now, Koikva is back up. AUI able to make it away. Behind this, though, we see Bulba being chased. Not even sure how he wound up in this position. Trying to juke, but well anticipated by Cloud9. So they end up losing Bulba on the back of that, even though they do get a couple of pickoffs on the return. But for right now, you know, Eternal Envy with no buyback, as he just spin it, they're going to lock and load again. Not even going to worry about Roshan. They honestly could have had a chance to just take a Roche fight with Bulba down. Instead, they're going for the killing blow, and they're going to jump right on top of Way2. Way2 going to be blown up, and the courier is brought down. That is a free gem as well. TC hanging around the periphery, and they're going to fall back. Honestly, at this point, Eternal Envy could probably just solo Roche.
Liquid just feel like, you know, when you watch a little bit of boxing, a little bit of UFC or something like that, and you get into a fighter gets into a flurry where he just hits and hits and hits, and the opposing fighter just gets a little bit stunned. He looks dazed. He's just taking it over and over. That's what Liquid look like right now. They just seem to, the aggression coming out from Cloud9. They get one pick off and they go for another. They keep going. They keep hitting over and over and over again. And Liquid aren't paying attention to the fact that that's what Cloud9 are looking for. They find that pick off at Furion. They almost pick off Way2 in middle. You know, it's just those things that they just aren't moving. They aren't reacting to the fact that Cloud9 are being so aggressive, and they're going to keep being aggressive like that after they found a pickoff, because they know they have the numbers advantage. They're going to keep going for it. They're going to keep trying to find those team fights, and Liquid are just getting caught out over and over and over again. If they could just stop this, if they could just stop the bleeding for just a couple minutes, they might be able to retain a little bit more map control. They do have this good advantage with Furion, being able to allow you that if Cloud9 do push in and you win a team fight, you might be able to actually take a Rax because of Koikva's ability just to be able to split push and take Rax very, very quickly, and the fact that you could just teleport across the map so fast. But they just aren't really playing their defense right. They're not setting up and seeing the movement of Cloud9 right now. I mean, that was a beautiful ward coming out from Cloud9, but you should expect that. You shouldn't be splitting off and having your Furion being so exposed to all of these Blink Daggers. If you are seen there, if there is a ward there, you know you're dead because there's so many Blink Daggers, there's so many disables up on Cloud9.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. That was the curious part of that to me as well. They smoked, and if you're going to smoke, why would you not run as 5? I understand Prophet has the ability to get into a fight very quickly because of teleport, but if you're going to do that, then run him out in lane, let him shove. Let him try to create some space and make someone leave and account for him. Then he can come back to a fight. Instead, he just waddled his way up into the dire side secret shop, was a free kill, and then Liquid got caught on the wrong side of the Roche pit trying to go back and forth and trying to find a way back into lane to engage. And Cloud9 capitalized. And as of right now, they're probably one fight away from finally sealing the deal on this. But, yeah, Lincoln Sphere is apparently the item of choice, and it has staying right on top of that. Only the second time in competitive Dota history, at least it's on record with the stats databases, that we've seen one on a Nyx Assassin, and the first time we've seen one in competitive Dota on a Sand King. And really, it makes a ton of sense. Why wouldn't you get an item like that on these heroes just to augment their survivability and take away even more tools in the arsenal of Liquid?
Yeah, now Liquid are just playing the most offensive game possible, but look at like the spread from Cloud9. Like Bone Sevens, like look at his presence right there. He's ready at any point in time to catch out any of these heroes in this area by being able to blink in and surprise Liquid. They're not expecting them to go through middle, and I'm not sure why, because you should always have that counter ward when you lose a Rax, you lose a tier 3 like that. It's always the rule that you need a counter ward up in front so they can't actually be invis inside your base.
Yep. Wave 2 spotted out. EE going to work. The familiars are there, but don't think it's going to matter. And TC caught with the Scythe of Ice as well as the Doom. And now Quakeman next on the list. Earth Splitter's there, but really they're just so tanky and so survivable. They've already lost a couple. Fluff throwing out the Nightmare. He will be Scythe behind it. Impale to follow. The Burst will be there. Down he goes. And that's going to be all she wrote. GG's called. And another marathon match. We've had a couple here this week. This is the second match of the week. It's gone past 60 minutes and damn near 70. But Cloud9 getting things on track. An absolute back and forth affair. But Liquid ends up hitting the canvas and giving up a Game 1 win to Cloud9 for the second day in a row. Now, though, it's a best of 3. We'll see if Liquid can bounce back.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to have a short little break in between Game 1 and Game 2. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to give that code to Nahaz. So if you guys get ready, go to Dota2Lounge.com/giveaway for your opportunity to win free rares. Pretty much I'm going to give the code to Nahaz. He's going to put it out on his Twitter. And then you guys go ahead and immediately take the code. The first person who takes the code, put it into the slot in Dota2Lounge.com/giveaway. Hits that enter button first, you're going to be able to walk away with 10 rares. So get ready for that one. That's going to be coming up between Game 1 and Game 2 while we have a short commercial break and we get ready for Cloud9 versus Liquid with Cloud9 taking a 1-game advantage so far.